want to talk about something a little controversial. Crypto. Imagine for a moment a world where national wealth is tied to a digital asset controlled by a select few, an elite circle operating behind closed doors, making decisions that could reshape the global economy at the push of a button. This isn't science fiction, it's the very real risk of a government-backed crypto reserve. On Sunday, Donald Trump made a bold declaration. The United States will create a sovereign crypto reserve, backing assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple's XRP, Solana's Sol, and Cardano's ADA as part of the US Treasury. He calls it the Crypto Strategic Reserve, claiming it will elevate the industry and solidify America's dominance in digital assets. But behind the hype, there's a massive problem. This is a dangerous, speculative gamble that could destabilize the US economy and create yet another financial bubble. While Trump frames this as a visionary move, history, economics, and simple common sense suggest otherwise. In fact, his proposal only reinforces why individuals and central banks should be holding gold, not digital tokens propped up by speculation and now political favours. Let's get real here. Half the world is pushing for de-dollarization. Debt is out of control, and their genius solution is crypto reserves? Well, what's next? Dogecoin pensions? Wake up. Why has Trump made the announcement? Can it even happen? And more importantly, who is a sovereign crypto fund actually for? It is no coincidence that Trump's crypto push comes after the industry poured hundreds of millions into the 2024 election cycle, with Trump's campaign receiving tens of millions directly. Trump's specific selection of cryptocurrencies raised eyebrows. Bitcoin and Ethereum are widely held, but why include the others? Well, one possibility is his crypto czar, David Sachs, has deep investment ties to these coins. Now, while Sachs claims that he has sold his holdings, the perception of insider dealing remains strong. And at the same time, Trump's own meme coin exists on the Solana blockchain, and World Liberty Financial, a decentralized finance venture backed by Trump and his sons, has been building its own treasury of crypto assets, which includes some of the very same tokens now being listed for the Federal Crypto Reserve. Any increase in their value could directly benefit Trump and his inner circle, raising significant conflict of interest questions. Further fueling ethical concerns, just hours before Trump's announcement, an unusually large $200 million purchase of both Ethereum and Bitcoin raised eyebrows, leading to more speculation about whether some investors perhaps had advanced knowledge of the plan. If this were the stock market, we'd be calling it insider trading. With no hint of irony whatsoever, Trump has claimed that this will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, as the Trump administration focuses on making sure the US is the crypto capital of the world. So let's get this straight. The same government that crypto advocates spent years fighting against is now supposed to run their new money system. Crypto bros spent a decade calling fiat a scam, and now their dream is government-backed crypto funds. So do you want a shinier leash? But does it need a sovereign crypto fund in order to be the crypto capital of the world? Is a sovereign wealth fund the right way to elevate any industry? No, it isn't. This isn't sound economic policy making. It's crony capitalism. Trump is handing over the keys of financial oversight to the same people who profit from pump and dump schemes, opaque trading platforms, and offshore shell companies. And history shows us exactly how this will end. A national reserve should serve as a hedge against inflation, a store of stable value that governments can rely on in times of crisis. It is not there to support an industry, and certainly not one that is in its teenage years. That's why, for centuries, gold has been the foundation of sovereign reserves, because it doesn't rely on hype, political whims, or Silicon Valley marketing. Crypto, on the other hand, is the opposite of a stable asset. It's volatile, it's speculative, and, as we've seen, open to manipulation. The moment Trump hinted at this initiative, Bitcoin's price surged, and not because of economic fundamentals, but because of pure speculation. If a mere announcement can send a market soaring, what does that say about its reliability? Supporters argue that crypto's value will appreciate faster than inflation, protecting the economy. Well, the dot-com boom of the late 1990s showed what happens when speculative assets are inflated by artificial confidence. Many tech startups collapsed because they were built on hype rather than fundamentals. A government-backed crypto reserve risks repeating this mistake on an even larger scale. So we've seen the speculative mania before, and these always end the same way: catastrophic crashes that wipe out both wealth and confidence. If the US ties its financial health to an asset class prone to 50% price swings in a matter of weeks, it was playing with fire. And it's not just speculation, it's political theatre. Trump appears to be using the crypto market as a proxy for his economic success, just as he once viewed the stock market. When Bitcoin hit $100,000 in September, he took credit for it, saying, "Congratulations, Bitcoiners, you're welcome." This isn't economic leadership, it's opportunism. Even within the crypto community, Trump's selection of assets is controversial. Bitcoin is often called digital gold, and it's widely considered the only cryptocurrency with true reserve potential. Yet Trump's reserve includes multiple alternative coins. Industry figures have pointed out that holding anything other than Bitcoin is akin to adding energy stocks to a national oil reserve. It's unnecessary, it's risky, and it's ripe for manipulation. And meanwhile, some analysts would argue that crypto's fundamental appeal is its separation from government control. If the US government becomes a major player in the crypto markets, well, it undermines the very decentralization that crypto advocates claim makes it valuable in the first place. But before we all get our knickers in a twist, does Trump even have the legal authority to establish a crypto reserve? The US government doesn't simply wake up and create sovereign reserves overnight. The establishment of new funds, especially those that would hold volatile and speculative assets, well, it requires congressional approval and potentially new legislation. Right now, there is no clear legal framework for the US Treasury or the Fed to buy and hold cryptocurrencies. Unlike gold, which has been a recognized reserve asset for centuries, and crypto has never formally been classified as a strategic or monetary reserve by any of the G7 countries. And let's not forget, if it could be hacked, manipulated, or rugged, well, it's not a reserve asset. Gold and silver are the only money that can't be erased by a keyboard. Even the Biden administration's regulatory crackdown on crypto was largely focused on ensuring that it didn't creep into traditional finance without stringent oversight. And then there's the funding question. Well, where does the money come from? Does Congress need to approve billions in spending? Does this reserve simply take seized crypto from law enforcement actions? These are fundamental questions that Trump has yet to answer, and they cast serious doubt on whether this reserve is anything more than campaign rhetoric. And meanwhile, some of Trump's own supporters, including major crypto investors, they're skeptical. Billionaire Joe Lonsdale, who's a major backer of Trump's campaign, publicly criticized the plan, saying it was not the proper, principled role of government. And even Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, who is the richest American in crypto, said that the reserve should be limited to Bitcoin only, if anything at all. And after all this, I'm not even that convinced that any of Trump's supporters on the ground, i.e., the tax-paying, law-abiding, working 9-to-5 voters, actually want this. There is a very clear lack of support from the very people who should be championing it. As reported by Barron's, even in some of the most crypto-friendly states, there have been significant hesitations when it comes to allowing government investment in Bitcoin or other digital assets. Now, take Wyoming, a state that has been a leader in crypto-friendly legislation. Senator Cynthia Lummis, who is one of the loudest voices in Washington pushing for a Bitcoin reserve, she couldn't even get a bill past her own state to allow the state treasurer to invest in Bitcoin. The Wyoming House Committee overwhelmingly rejected the proposal, with the chief investment officer warning against Bitcoin's extreme volatility and saying, "These are the types of things that we do not want in our portfolio." And it's not just Wyoming. Similar bills have been rejected this year in Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Pennsylvania. If pro-Bitcoin lawmakers can't even get their own state governments on board, what makes Trump think that Congress will greenlight a federal crypto reserve? And then, of course, we've got the issue of the crypto industry itself. The sector was built on a philosophy of decentralization, of being outside the control of government and central banks. Many hardcore Bitcoin advocates, including some of Trump's biggest supporters, are likely to be deeply skeptical of the government stepping in to buy and hold crypto. Even Jason Calacanis, the co-host of Trump's crypto czar, David Sachs's own podcast, called the plan an insane grift. So if the states aren't pushing for it, and even the crypto industry is split on it, well, who is this really for? The answer seems to be for the small group of crypto investors and venture capitalists who have poured money into the Trump campaign, hoping for a windfall when the government starts artificially inflating crypto markets. And beyond its volatility, well, crypto has another fatal flaw. It produces nothing. Unlike gold, which has real-world industrial, monetary, and jewelry applications, cryptocurrencies generate no intrinsic value. Their worth is entirely dependent on the collective belief until that belief evaporates. Governments have historically turned to gold in times of crisis. Central banks have been increasing their gold holdings for years, recognizing it as the ultimate hedge against monetary instability. If the US was serious about strengthening its financial position, it would be adding to its gold reserves, or at least checking that they still have some, not diving headfirst into a speculative asset that has already seen multiple boom and bust cycles. While Trump talks about making America great, he's pushing a policy that prioritizes financial engineering over actual economic productivity. On paper, the idea of a sovereign wealth fund backed by cryptocurrency may sound innovative, modern even, perhaps even inevitable. But let's ask a crucial question here. Who truly benefits from this happening right now? Is it the hardworking citizens, the everyday investors looking for financial security? Or is it the insiders, the politically connected, the shadowy few who have the technical expertise and regulatory leverage to game this system? But right now, a national crypto reserve isn't just a bad idea. It's a reckless experiment that puts America's financial stability at risk. It plays into the hands of speculators, of scammers, and political insiders, while offering no real economic security. A crypto reserve isn't some neutral force of nature. It's code created by humans, controlled by humans, and if history is any guide, exploited by humans in power. We know that cryptocurrencies can be manipulated. They can be pumped, dumped, frozen, seized, and most alarmingly, programmed. Smart contracts and central bank digital currencies have already shown us that digital assets can be designed to restrict movement, to track transactions, and deny access. That's not wealth, that's control. Now, let's contrast that with gold. Gold is the great equalizer. It's not a tool of government surveillance. It doesn't require permission to be owned, to be spent, or moved. Gold doesn't need a network. It doesn't need a password or a recovery phrase. It exists beyond the reach of the political whim. Throughout history, it has served as a universal form of money across borders through wars, depressions, and collapses. The same cannot be said for digital assets, which are vulnerable to cyber attacks, to regulatory shifts, and the ambitions of the elite who set the rules. Meanwhile, gold remains what it has always been, a reliable, proven, and universally accepted store of value. This entire situation is yet another reminder of why individuals and institutions should be turning to gold, not digital tokens vulnerable to market manipulation, political favoritism, and outright fraud. Trump's crypto vision is not about economic strength. It's about distraction. It's about speculation and political payback. And when the next crash comes, those holding digital assets will be left scrambling. Yeah, the US economy will be scrambling. So is there wisdom in placing a nation's wealth in the hands of a technology that most people don't even understand? A technology that can be exploited by those with insider knowledge? A technology that at its core is a system of trust in something unseen and intangible? When a crisis hits, would you rather have a digital token that requires a working power grid and government permission to access, or a tangible, unbreakable asset that has preserved wealth for centuries? Because at the end of the day, gold doesn't play favorites. It doesn't require an explanation. It just is. What do you think? Should there be a crypto sovereign fund? Let us know, hit subscribe, and let's keep the conversation going.